Hey guys, it's Bioman and welcome back to the Yeousch Recruits Tournament of Creators. It's round 2 and the theme is Chaos, and today we are going to see the videos of WayneDavies89 and LuxatusPatella. So without any further ado, let's look at WayneDavies' video.
They're pouring in from everywhere.
What's going on, guys? Wayne here and welcome to another video and welcome to my round 2 submission for the Yeousch Recruits Tournament of Creators. Today we're dealing with Chaos, and let me just say, if you're not interested in storytelling, if you're not interested in some of the more finer, in-depth elements of video games, this video might not be for you. I will say that right away. Anyway, narrative and storytelling is something that's become dominant in modern video games. You know, it's a dominant feature where even it's growing every day and becoming more complex with many franchises that we all know, such as Metal Gear Solid, games like The Last of Us, games like Heavy Rain. You see where I'm going. It's not just as simple as good versus evil these days. You know, there's layers, there's reflective themes, there's character development and subplots. But how does this relate to Chaos? Well, the gameplay that you're seeing right now is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, developed by Platinum Games and Hideo Kojima Productions. Or I should say Kojima Productions, headed by Hideo Kojima. Now, how does this thing relate to Chaos, Wayne? You know, well, one, you've obviously got the game itself. This game, in my honest opinion, is great for Chaos because it presents one thing that hack and slash and big action games always bring to the table, which is this illusion of chaos. You have these action-packed moments, these action-packed set pieces, cutscenes, fights, full of violence, and they're just epic. And obviously one of their depictions is chaos, when you have debris flying everywhere, you have explosions, you have hack and slashing with swords, in this case in Rising, you have blood. But it's all an illusion. It's there just for visual entertainment. It's there to throw you into the moment, to throw you there into this scene and be enthralled by the characters, the scene, and the action. For example, if you have a situation where, in terms of Rising's case, you have a corridor, and this corridor is a part of a building, and this building is crumbling down and falling apart whilst you're in it. And as you run down this corridor, you know, you're dodging explosions, debris is falling down, the floor is coming away, so you have to jump over obstacles, you have gas explosions from the gas mains, you have water dripping down from the water lines, and it's carnage and chaos on screen. It's an illusion. It is just a basic corridor run. You are running from A to B, and it is these set pieces which just throw you in, and it's this illusion of chaos that just makes games like Metal Gear Rising and so many more enticing and fun and epic and worth playing. I've digressed a bit here. Let's get back to the original point I wanted to make in terms of chaos and storytelling, and this is called chaos narrative. Now, I shit you not, chaos narrative exists, it is a thing, it is related to storytelling, and you know what, I shit you not, it's real. I was confused as hell when this was first brought to me, but I studied this at university, it is real, and I'm going to talk about it and talk about why it's relevant to video games and Metal Gear Rising. Now, chaos narrative is one of 3 narrative forms which are all thrown together to create the illness narratives, which are a way of a person affected by an illness to make sense of his or her experience. They typically follow one of several patterns, which are retribution, chaos, and quest narratives. That is the direct definition. Now, retribution narrative follows the person as they see the illness as a temporary detour. Their primary goal is to return permanently to a normal life and normal health. This is also called the cure narrative. And then you have chaos narrative, which is the person sees the illness as a permanent state and they can't escape it, and it has no redeeming virtues. The third and final one is quest narrative, which is basically the experience that the person goes through related to the first two, which basically transforms them one way or another, whether they accept their illness or whether they fight the illness. So quest narrative is the combination of the first two, and then that is all related to and called the illness narrative. Now, how does this relate to Metal Gear, or video games for that matter, Wayne? I mean, seriously, you're talking gibberish. Right, well, let me tell you this. Whenever you've played a game where someone, your character, whether it be the protagonist or a character around you, they have an illness or a defect or have been through a transformation and they fight it. They don't like it. Yeah, they don't like what they've become. And then they either A, conform to it and accept it and use it to a certain degree, whether it be good or bad, or fight what they are. This is at its core illness narrative, and this transcends so many games. Deus Ex Human Revolution, Adam Jensen. If you choose to, as you play through that game, because it is obviously a player-driven game with their choices in dialogue, if you choose to start off, you don't like augmentations, you hate what you've become, you like being human, and then as you play through the game and you get all the cool unlocks and unlock all the new abilities, you may come to like it. And then, of course, you have accepted it. Accepted who you are. This is what it is. It doesn't have any redeeming virtues, but it can do because you're using it for the greater good and so on and so forth. This is everywhere in video games. All you got to do is look deep enough and just understand a character's motivations and arc. Now, how does this relate to Metal Gear Rising? It is the exact same thing to a degree. In Metal Gear Solid 2, you find out that Raiden was in fact a child soldier. He'd spent most of his youth, from the second he could probably communicate and act independently to a degree, all the way up to his teens, he was a child soldier. He was basically brainwashed and manipulated into a killing machine where all he did was kill with no remorse, no regret. It was a disease and illness, and that is basically it. He was a monster. Now, as we go into Metal Gear Solid, further into the Metal Gear Solid 2 storyline, we realise that when he was recruited into Foxhound, this inner demon, this inner disease, this illness, was repressed. And then now, as we go into Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, as we progress through this game, Raiden goes through this arc of, my sword is a tool for justice. But then, he soon realises, you know what? It isn't a tool for justice. That is something that I've been telling myself to escape the fact that I am killing hundreds of people. I am hacking hundreds of people to bits, and funny enough, I enjoy it a little bit. And then ultimately, he accepts his inner demon. He accepts his illness. He accepts the chaos that he has been creating over the course of his life. Hence, Jack the Ripper, the alter ego, the monster inside of him. Anyway guys, it's coming up to the end of the video. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you understand the 2 points of chaos that I'm coming from. One from gameplay standpoint, one from narrative standpoint. You can research most of this yourself, and I hope you find it interesting. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care, be safe, and I will see you in the next one. Love you all guys. Wayne out. Peace.
Alright, that was WayneDavies89. If you want to vote for him, link to do that is in the description. But we'll talk about that later. I'll have instructions for that at the end of the video. And for now, let's look at LuxatusPatella's video as he talks about chaos.
It must have been a couple of years ago that I decided to play the first Final Fantasy game. Being an avid fan of traditional RPG games, I played through the game with a smile on my face. Gameplay, environment, music, all was pretty solid. But for a game like this, it's all about the story. If the story is bad, there's not much incentive of the player to keep going. If it's good, you might like to know more backstory. That's what I like to do today. I want to discuss a little backstory of the end boss of Final Fantasy 1. Even if you do not know anything of Final Fantasy, that's okay, because my point is to showcase how this all connects to the theme of chaos. It starts off with Garland, a former knight of Cornelia. After being dispatched from the kingdom, he turns evil and kidnaps the Princess Sarah into the Chaos Shrine. Garland will be the first mini-boss you will encounter while playing the game. Although there isn't much interaction going on, his backstory is in fact quite interesting. It seems that Garland was fascinated with time. Having said he felt like a prisoner of time, he became obsessed with the idea of endless cycles. To be more specific, a time loop. His love for evil, war, and conflict was his way of saying he was trapped in the time cycle of the gods' conflict. Now let's think about that for a second. Time, as we know it today, is called a dimension. The major concepts of time are the past, present, and future. Now, the topic of time is quite difficult, and it's in fact quite philosophical. But what if we would add a fourth concept? The concept of eternity. The concept that Garland is trying to create for himself. If there would be a time loop, wouldn't it destroy the three major concepts? Would the pattern of time that we know of time be altered? In other words, would there be chaos? After defeating Garland, it's your job to defeat the four fiends of chaos to restore the power of the crystals. However, it seems that the power created a time warp, and only there the power can be retained. It seems though that Garland has succeeded in creating this time warp, as he went back in time after you've defeated him to near death. Plus, he has sent the fiends of chaos from the past to the present. By this he has made sure there was a time loop. Once facing Garland again, he has absorbed the power of the crystals, and will transform into the thing he wanted to create in the first place. It's what makes this backstory interesting for me. Garland's final form is the thing he has created himself. Just look at the background of the fight, as if there was a time rip he created to avoid death every single time. It almost looks like he's a god, deciding that the idea of chaos should exist, not only by altering time, but by altering life and death as well. After the final battle, the time loop has been broken, and it is said that Garland returns to the present, being the noble knight that he once was. Perhaps chaos has been restored. I know I've chosen a more philosophical approach to this subject, but for me, the definition of chaos is more than just a form of confusion and disorder. Sure, the enemy's name may be chaos, but for me, this form of chaos just makes more sense, which is, if you think of it, chaotic in itself. Take it for what it's worth. Thanks for watching.
Alright, that was LuxatusPatella, and if you want to vote for him or WayneDavies89, you can click the link in the description. It will bring you to the Yeousch Community Forums page. All you gotta do is make an account on there, then you can vote by using the poll on the page that is linked in the description. And just a quick reminder, you can tell people, why you voted the way you did in the reply section, but that does not count as a vote. You gotta actually use the poll on the page to actually vote for whoever you want to vote for. So, with that being said, next matchup is going to be Hustle Rhythms versus Paul the Cat. So just stay tuned for that. I want to thank you all very much for watching. My name is Bioman, and I'll see you all next time.